There it goes. Recording now.
Welcome to everyone in Purcellville. This is the latest installment of Know Your Candidates, featuring our current mayor, Kwesi Fraser, and some new candidates for town council, including Stan Milan, Mary Jane Williams, and myself, Christopher Berteau. Because of the COVID-19 restrictions, we're holding online question and answer sessions to explain our platform and to allow residents to answer any questions they may have about how we believe the town government should function and how we can best serve as the voice of Purcellville's residents. In a couple of weeks, we hope to have a live session with all of the current candidates invited so that we can answer your questions on a closer to real-time basis. In the meantime, hope everyone is staying safe by maintaining social distance, but still getting outside for exercise when you can do so safely. I found my time gathering signatures to place my name on the ballot for our election on May 5th to be very rewarding because I got to hear what concerns so many of you here in Purcellville. So, without further delay or ado, let's get to the questions for this evening. We will start with Mary Jane Williams.
Good evening, and welcome to our quick question and answer episode, sponsored by the four candidates present: Kwesi Fraser, Chris Berteau, Stan Milan, and me, Mary Jane Williams. We are standing as a unified group supporting the platform of slow growth, low taxes, improving the infrastructure, and innovation. A quick shout out first to say thank you for the restaurants for your curbside deliveries, all the grocery stores, and all the workers that have helped us through this. We truly appreciate you. Tonight, I'll be focusing on innovation, which means how do we fund the future of Purcellville? Funding the future is one of the core values of the Town Council, as mentioned in their budget proposal for the fiscal year. As I was looking over the budget proposal for the town, I did notice that innovation is part of the town initiative within their scope of promoting community and economic well-being. In order to sustain the small town, family-friendly community associated with Purcellville, we need to think outside the normal tax box for revenue. Some of the ideas for increasing revenue without an increase in taxes by the candidates center on: 1, innovative and alternative uses for the wastewater from our water treatment plant. According to the government, the treated water is not drinkable, but may be used for other purposes. We can use it for road work, construction companies, and/or pool services. Second innovative use is think about our underutilized properties and buildings within the town limits. We could sell some of the properties, receive the sales price and property taxes for those buildings. Another property is the Aberdeen property. There has been a proposal to have a multi-use trail by the Equine Association with horse trails, bike trails, horse shows, etc. This would help not only our horse owners, but would also bring in money to the town. I would like to establish a teen task force to ensure that the voices of our younger residents are heard. We need to find avenues for all their energy and give them entertainment spaces. I believe it would be beneficial to invite these students to town council meetings. They are residents of the town and they should have their voices heard by all. My third and fourth point deal with money and how to bring it in. My third is we need to investigate grants, which Mayor Fraser will hit on later in the presentation, and refinancing of outstanding debts. As any person knows, if you lower the interest rates, your monthly payment will decrease. If we decrease our monthly payment, we have more discretionary money available for the town. And the fourth way is look into energy saving options for the water treatment plant, such as solar panels. Yes, it would cost us something to begin with, but the yearly savings would outweigh that cost. Thank you for your time, and please remember to sign up for your absentee ballots and have your voice heard by voting. Now I'll let Stan share with you our vision regarding slow growth.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Slow growth And many people have been discussing growth in the town of Purcellville. Well, let's define growth. There's growth by population. That can be attested to empty nesters that have lived here for 20, 30 years. The children have grown up. They don't need the big house that they're currently in, so they put their house up for sale and sell it to a young couple coming into the community with 1, 2 kids. They stay here for a while, and then that growth has increased our population. By that, it would create a need for additional teachers, which is covered by the county. The other part of growth would be annexation. That is bringing in property that's adjacent to the boundaries of Purcellville. There's currently 67.3 acres adjacent to Valley Springs. And if that is annexed, then that would bring the potential of 91.8 and 15 acres adjacent to farm properties. They would become targets for annexation. There's another example of 51.6 acres west of Hirsch Farm. Okay, we cannot sustain that type of growth currently with our current infrastructure. As we've talked before and explained, the water treatment plant is at 40% of its capacity, which is great, but the water availability for the town is not that high, maybe at 95%. So with slow growth, we have to manage these type of developments. There's infill property that can be developed for needs for the town. The developers are great at what they do. We are not against development. We're not against builders. Use those talents to benefit the town. As Mary Jane explained, there's no facilities for the youth to go to. There's no facilities for the young families with young children to go to. I've seen the young kids hang out at McDonald's and also at Dollar Tree. You know, they need to expend that energy that they have, which we wish we could get. That's just our platform. Growth is managed intelligently and smartly with a purpose for the town. Not that there won't be any, you cannot stop all growth. There's going to be some regardless, but we want to manage it intelligently, smartly, and with the concern and consideration what the townspeople say and want and what will benefit the town. Thank you and hope to get your vote. And I'll pass it over to the mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stanley. Thank you, Mary Jane. And again, welcome, citizens of Purcellville. We wish we could reach out and have a dialogue with you, but in this COVID-19 reality, we are unable to. We encourage you to continue to practice social distancing, washing of hands, and staying away from huge crowd throughout this. Together, we shall defeat COVID-19. My question is, what sorts of infrastructure improvements should the town council address? We have 5 that the new town council needs to address. The first is brought on by significant growth period that this town has faced over the years. We are at a close maximum or peak at our water availability, meaning our water resource. That said, we would need to find new resources of water. We are currently working with our management team to identify and bring online 4 wells for the new town council. Those things would come at a cost. Those wells will come at a cost. We intend to pursue USDA 40-year loans at low interest so we can be able to pay back over the period of lifetime of those wells. So 40-year loans with low interest would be our primary source to funding those infrastructure. In addition to the wells, we would need to invest in the transmission capacity and capability. We do have pipelines on our roads that are in excess of 40 years old. We'll need to, again, look at those and see where we can pursue ways to have those repair so we can deliver quality water to our citizens and also prevent the inflow from going into our wastewater treatment facility by also looking at our sewer infrastructure and enhancing that. The third infrastructure improvement that we need to look at is the 690 and 7 interchange. That road improvement, once it is completed, it will significantly reduce traffic congestion on Main Street and Hearst Road, two primary arteries within the town of Purcellville. The beginning of that infrastructure initiative is slated to be 2023. My goal and the goal of this body, if elected or when elected, would be to work with our members of the Board of Supervisors and also VDOT to accelerate that project, the 697 interchange project. The second transportation project, which is also a major transportation project, is the 287-7 intersection. All citizens in Purcellville and also our guests face increasing traffic congestion at that intersection. We intend to again work with VDOT to accelerate that so we do not have to wait until 2023. Let's get it at least started earlier, 2021 or 2022. The fifth initiative is broadband fiber infrastructure. At this time, during this COVID crisis, we realized the value of internet connectivity that's reliable and readily available to us. We would like to move forward with fiber infrastructure, working with the USDA and the federal government to see how we will be able to enhance our wireless and fiber connectivity throughout the town of Purcellville. With that said, I'll now hand it over to Chris Bartow to speak about keeping taxes low.
Thank you, Kwesi. I'd like to speak about how I plan to keep taxes low for our residents. First thing I'd like to do is make a distinction or draw a distinction between the equalized tax rate and the advertised or accepted tax rate. The latter are examples of tax rates that are either at the beginning of the budget cycle, a maximum tax rate that might be applied to the assessed value of your property. The accepted tax rate is the value that is accepted in order to create the budget. An equalized tax rate, which is what I would drive for, is a tax rate that does not increase your taxes through inflation. That is, the equalized tax rate year over year is that which provides for no tax increase, even given, at least for the average homeowner, even given the annual increases which most of us experience in the value of our property. Moving on from there, I'd like to achieve that in part through innovative uses of property that the town already owns. The town owns some property that should frankly just be sold. There's a house called the Pullen House that the town could sell. Someone could build a new house on that property, and then we would have tax revenue from that property once again. Right now we get no tax revenue, and in fact we get no tax revenue, and there's a small amount of maintenance cost associated with owning that derelict house. In addition, I've championed initiatives like the cell phone tower on the wastewater treatment plant that would bring in revenue from cell phone carriers at no cost to the town. And in helping to keep taxes low, we would at the same time get improved bandwidth for all of the town's residents. And it's through initiatives like this that I'd like to help keep taxes low. And finally, the third thing that I'd like to do is seek innovation and delivery of government services. It costs us about $1.62 in services for every new town resident, or every new dollar in tax revenue for a new town resident. I'd like to try and get some right sizing going so that the services that are actually delivered are those that the town residents need and desire on a day-to-day basis. And through all of these means, I hope to keep taxes low, and I'm asking for your vote. And at this time, I will turn it over to our mayor for summation.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Stanley, and thank you, Mary Jane. And again, citizens of Purcellville, thank you for welcoming us into your homes another Wednesday. We encourage you to continue to submit your questions, and every Wednesday it is our commitment to address those questions in this forum. As we part ways, we are in each other's thoughts as we go through this COVID-19 crisis. We ask you to again continue to practice social distancing, cleanliness, washing of hands, and avoiding crowds. We ask you again to continue to support us. We look for your vote, and we encourage you once again to look at the option of submitting absentee ballots for this election. May the 5th is upon us shortly, but in the meanwhile, we impress upon you to go the route of submitting your absentee vote. Thank you, and we look forward to the next forum.